This is the 2019 Ordinary Level Question 1, looking at orthographic projection. So the figure shows the design for a cordless phone. A 3D graphic of the phone is also shown. For this question, we're asked to draw an elevation in the direction of arrow A, an end view in the direction of arrow B, and insert any 4 dimensions. So just having a kind of analysis of this question, we're only asked to draw 2 views, the elevation and the end view. We don't need to draw a plan, so don't need to worry about doing that. Our arrow for the end view is on the left hand side of the question, which means our end view has to go on the right hand side of the elevation. So if the arrow's on the left, end view goes on the right. If the arrow's on the right, end view goes on the left. So before we start, and we need to look at setting up our page, we need to look at how tall is the question. So we've got 30 and 20 coming up the left hand side, which is 50, another 30 brings us up to 80, 60, 140, and then we've got a radius 25 at the top that also needs to be considered. So the total height that we have for this question is 165 millimeters. Let's look at the total width of the question, or the length across the front. That's going to be given as 125, or given that total dimension, and the total depth is given as 85. So with that, I can set up my XY line, my ground line, quite low on the page, as I don't need to put a plan underneath it. So our XY line is down quite low. Blow off any extra dust so it doesn't dirty your page, as we don't need a plan for this. So our elevation is going to go on the left, end view on the right. So we'll just pick a point out over here somewhere. And the total width, or the length across the front of the elevation, is 125. Now when starting any question like this, I think it's always really important that you put your entire view into a box. So you draw a view of the total width, so or the total dimension. So for our elevation, it's going to be 125 across by 165 tall. The reason I do this is that I know that everything has to fit inside in this box, and when I'm starting out my question, I know that the whole thing is going to fit on the page. Because if I started the question and then 15 minutes into the question I realize, oh no, this doesn't fit on the page, I have to start again, and I don't have that length of time in the exam. So, drawing rectangles. These 2 boxes contain both the elevation and the end view. So now I know that my question is going to fit on the page. I've just left 20 millimeters between the 2 views, but you can leave more if you like. So we're going to start by drawing the elevation first, or part of it first anyway. I'm going to start with the block part, with the dark grey bit of it in the question. So that has a total height of, it's up 15 first for the lower part. So we can mark that bit, that's the line across the front. And then it comes up a further 35 for the very top of it. So we can draw that in lightly just for the time being. So put all your lines in lightly to start off with, as we don't know how different pieces are going to interact with it. What we can do next is we're going to look at putting in the phone. So that's going to come up 30, but this time that 30 is being measured from the bottom. So up 30 for the bottom of the phone. And the width of the phone is given as at the front, and that's 50 millimeters. So the length across the front of that phone is 50 millimeters. So we can draw that line all the way up to the top now. So our phone is going to sit in this area here. We can darken in the block at the bottom. There's not much more we need to figure out for that one. So we have the base of it. We have the 15 millimeter high little piece. And then we've got the 35 millimeter piece that comes as far as the edge of the phone. Down the sides, side of the phone here, and up the side there at that part. So that completes in elevation the block at the very bottom. We're going to start working our way up with the phone now. So we've come up 50 then for the next part. So 20 millimeters up to here, and then it's a further 30 up to the next line that we need to draw on the phone, where that vertical face meets kind of the one that's sloping at a bit of an angle. So we can measure up 30 from this point. That gives us the change in direction of the sloping edge. And then it's 60 millimeters up from that point to the center of the circles. So we should be left then with 25 up on top, which we are. So just going to find the center of this now. So that 50 there, radius 25. So I can draw that radius 25 in. So check it that it fits. That's touching both sides. So there we have that part of it. I think my total height up here was slightly off. Yep, so slightly off. So I get the phone coming up along that part, up as far as here. So one more piece that needs to go in now to the phone, and that's the circle, the radius 20 circle up on top. So I'll mark that, and using the compass again, draw radius 20 circle. Okay. So now if we have a look at the end view, we can take all of our heights straight across. So this height here is up 15 millimeters. I can just project the height of that directly across. That gives me this point here at the front. Do the same thing for the height of this up on top. That's going to come across, and I need to measure out 20 millimeters to that point there, and that's going to be coming down along this way. So I can draw that in lightly. So draw just all your lines in lightly to start off with, until we know how different things interact. Next we have our phone. So the phone needs to be marked into this, and we're given, we'll take the little notch out of this part of here now. So there's a notch taken out, and we can see the height that's up 30 millimeters, which is this height here. That can be projected across. So I got a line across there for the bottom of that. That's also the bottom of our phone, and the width that we're given for the bottom of the phone is 20 plus 15, so 35. So we'll mark our 35 here. That sloping edge continues on up along here somewhere, and that's at this height. So we can take this height and mark that one across, and that comes into a distance of 20 millimeters. So I can mark this 20, and now draw a straight line between the two using the edge of my set square. Now we're almost finished with this. Just need to continue our line straight up along here, and that completes the top part of this phone. So now we just have a few bits that we need to darken in. The base obviously needs to be darkened. This back line goes the whole way up, and it comes down as far as here on this side, and I can just darken in that little bit up on top. Although this changes direction from a straight line into a curve, there's no edge line here because it's a tangent curve. If it wasn't meeting it tangentially, there would be a curve, but as it's from one line going straight into a tangent circle, coming back down, there's no line here to indicate that. We have our line sloping down along this way. Can mark that one in. And then our line just down here at the bottom of the phone. Completing, so all of this area here, that's the phone, and that's the phone complete. A few more bits that we need to put in for the base. So we've got a line that's going to extend all the way from this corner up to here. But that line continues beyond in our question. So if you look at the question again, especially down in the bottom left corner in the 3D graphic, you can see that that continues up beyond where the phone is. So that means we've got a little bit of hidden detail here, where that block continues on up and it's behind the phone. Same for this little piece coming across this way. That's for the top of this here, showing that that's there. one more line then that needs to be put on down on this part. And that completes the end view. So this is the elevation, part A of the question, the end view, part B of the question. The only thing that needs to be done now is to insert any 4 dimensions. So we're given all these dimensions in the question, so we just need to copy any 4 of them. Let's do these neatly. So what I like to do is measure down just 10 millimeters underneath the line that I'm going to mark, and I'll draw a light line across there. So I'm going to put in the distance across this point. So I'm going to take I'll do it in a different color so it's a little bit clearer. So just starting a millimeter or 2 away from this line, so directly below it, I'm going to extend line down across that just crosses the light line that I drew a moment ago. So here, that's the same, extending down beyond it. And I can draw a line going across, leave a little gap in the middle for where I'm going to put the number, and line coming across this way also. Put an arrow on each end of the line and write the distance of 1, 2, and 5 into it. You don't need to put millimeters into it, as everything is taken to be in millimeters. You can do the same thing for here down at the bottom. So we're going to find the distance between here and here. Extend this line down, just don't have it touching the object. Here and here. Leave a gap towards the middle, and we can write a number here of 85. Now we just need to do 2 more dimensions, doesn't matter which one, so I might do this one here on the side. So out 10 millimeters. Here and here. Now this one is a little bit too short to leave a gap in the middle for. Don't forget your arrows. So you can just write in 15 here this way. And then any other dimension. So I might take the height for the distance for the radius. So if it's a radius, it's a line drawn from the center. You can extend it out that way, and you can put a horizontal line on it. So from here, arrow touching off the outside, or 25. And there we have it. That completes 2019 Ordinary Level Question 1.